Today, I will walk through a consultation of diagnostics process at Clínica Ramírez, using the iTero intraoral scans, Align Oral Health Suite, and the new and very exciting Align X-ray Insights. First of all, let me tell you that something that we've done since we early start in digital dentistry is that we are scanning every patient, every visit. We have started this process a few years ago, and we haven't looked back since. This has changed the way that we do our practice and the way that we communicate with our patients. As you all know, humans are visuals by nature. To understand and believe, they need to see. Our iTero intraoral scanners, and notable now the new Lumina scanner, are excellent tools to facilitate visual communications with our patients. Let me take you now through a typical consultation with our patients in a daily routine basis. So now that we have already scanned our patient with our iTero Lumina, you can see here how the Align Oral Health Suite starts the journey to communicate with our patients. We click here in the overview part, and you can see how this toolbar appears, so you can follow all the steps to again have this experience of communication with your patients. Tooth health. Normally in this part, what we like to show to the patients is by quadrants how's everything. And you can also use this tool to show in their very static position and a very real view how the tooth position and situation is. We normally go with one quadrant, the other quadrant, and also what is very nice is that we can switch to model to color or no color, especially in cases of wear cases, and also we can use it in cases where you have some kinds of recession, so the patients can see and evaluate this in the proper way. We go in the lower part and we do the same, color and no color in the upper part, so we can show to the patient and again communicate. That's what we were talking through the whole process, that the patient wants to see, to have this connection with you, and to really evaluate and see how the tooth situation displays in reality. One of other benefits that we have nowadays with the new Lumina is that the realistic point of view, that we can see everything. Everything looks very nice. The patients can really see how is the reality, like in this case of the gums. You can see here that we move from one side to another in the lower, and the same for the upper. When you detect or see something that is kind of rare or has to be highlighted to the patients, something that we normally do is like do a little bit of zoom. Here you can screenshot, and immediately you can sign the detections that you want to highlight to the patients. This will be saved and will be shared with the patient after in the scan report. Third part that we go through is the bite. This patient also, we're going to check the bite with the patient. We have colors starting to see how's the position, where areas are biting harder and then others. And you can start also to see if there are something that has to be in advice, something that you have to make some kind of controls in the near future of the patients. Tooth alignment is also one of the features that we can check here. We're going to take out now the occlusogram, and you can see here, like in this case, this patient was a little bit asking on how this central incisor was moving a little bit to the front part. Also, as you can see also in this part, in the tooth alignment, we can discuss with the patients in each of the steps, on each the step that you want, if they have some plaque on some areas that need some period treatment on some kind of cleaning before we start the journey. Another feature that we want to talk to you is the time-lapse. This is also very important. As we were mentioning before, we are scanning every patient, every visit. As you can see here, this patient we have been scanning from 2020, so we have a lot of information that we can share and discuss with the patients. Now we're going to take the last scan of the patients with the one of 2020, so we have 5 years to compare, and the software what we'll do is to take the scan of 2020 and put together with the 2025, and we will be able to check all the details and problems that could happen in this patient. So now, as you can see here, the iTero has already downloaded both of the scans of the patients. We have the 2020 and the 2025, and the time-lapse will show us the difference between the mouth in both times. For example, let's see here in the lower part. If we check the patient was not wearing retainers, And now with the retainer, because we are doing some ortho at 2020, has a little bit more of plaque. On the other part also, we can check and take the color out and show and see how aligners were helping to move the patient's tooth, and we see some of the attachments. So this feature of the time lapse is very helpful to have all the information of the patients, and that's why we are scanning every patient in every visit, so we can compare having this loop, lower and upper part, in all of our cases. Here you can see how it's also color codified all the changes that the patient has. For example, here in the red areas, you see that we have some more changes than in the yellow areas. If we put our loop here, this is because the patient was wearing attachments and now she's not wearing attachments. So at the end, the perception of the patient is also nice because they can check by colors also if there are some changes happening in their mouth. And we can, for example, also in the lower part, due of the happen of wearing retention, how she is having more plaque in this part. For example, here we check, the plaque is better to see with color, but again, if we take it out, here in the model, you see how the red part is showing that it's wearing retainer and also a little bit of more plaque in this moment of the patient. Let's compare now with April 2023 in this patient. And you can see here, if we move the STL, that is very easy and friendly to use. First of all, you see the difference between the old scans and the new Lumina. Lumina is giving us a lot of more realistic view, but on the other side, you can see here the scan of 2023 and 2025 and evaluate with the patients if there are some changes happening in the tissues, in the plaque conditions, recessions, or wherever you think that is important. You can also lock one part and move only one. You can also move both together. And then when you finish this comparison side by side, you will click here and you will go back to normal. As you can see here, you will see this sign of Invisalign that you can click. And what will appear in your iTero is the face of the patient. And we know that we are driving our treatment with the face. Normally now in all of the ortho simulations, you will have the patient's face without ortho, patient's face with ortho, and patient's face with a smile architect. So you will have the ability to share with the patients different options and also taking out the face and showing just the model of the patient.